Hi, it's Twi. Hope you guys are doing great. Happy Saturday. Sorry, it's been a couple days since I've been live. A lot of stuff happened on my end for a little bit, but we're back. We're back. You know, I would love to say I still can't go live because, you know, I'm at offkai or whatever, but unfortunately, that is very expensive, so I did not go. I've been low-key regretting it. I have low-key been, like, really regretting not going to offkai this weekend. Like, oh, dude, because I got paid this weekend. But the thing is, like, it doesn't change anything because I knew I was going to get my money anyway. And I had the money, technically. Like, the money was in my account that I would have needed to go to offkai if I really wanted to. But it's like, you know, do I really want to dig into my savings? Like, I don't know, probably at least $1,000 to go to a convention. My answer was no. But then, you know, I see, like, literally all of my friends went. And the con looks nice, and I'm like, damn, maybe the answer should have been maybe. But it would have been a lot of a process, man. Like, I don't have my passport right now, so I would have had to get my passport, like, well in advance. And, you know, even aside from that, okay, one thing I've been seeing that I thought was really funny is I've been seeing a lot of people tweeting about being at offkai and having fun and doing stuff, and I think that's great. I've also been seeing, like, a genre of tweets forming for people complaining about how bad people smell at offkai. There was even one guy who would have posted like 7,000 likes and he was like, I'm selling vtuber deodorant at offkai. Table 25. You have no excuse. He had like deodorant sticks with vtubers on the bottles. I was like, yo, that is so fire, dude. But, I mean, I was kind of surprised, honestly. I was kind of surprised to hear that because, like, for what it's worth, I go to Anime North pretty often. It's like it's probably the biggest anime convention out here in Toronto, right? And, yo, it's busy. Like, if you go there on a Saturday, you know, if you walk into the artist alley, you are shoulder to shoulder with somebody else the entire time. Like, there is barely even room to move. You're like in a sea of people. So it gets busy, right? You're really close to people. And I've never really felt like, you know, I'm just at the anime convention feeling like, oh man, it stinks in here. Like, I've never experienced that. I've been to anime conventions, never experienced that. I've been to like video game tournaments, I never really experienced that. And one thing I will say is I think that my nose doesn't work as well as most people probably. So maybe I'm just nose blind. But I'm kind of surprised. I've never actually like felt the like stinky anime fan, stinky gamer like meme being a thing. I've never experienced it for myself. So I was kind of surprised because the other thing I was thinking, right, is I feel like offkai is like not really a local convention. I wouldn't say. Like, I'm sure there are locals going to offkai, but there are a ton of like vtubers that traveled to go there, vtuber fans that traveled to go there. It's like a very like internationally like congregative con where it's like if you're into vtubers, like there's no better con to go to than to go to offkai, right? So a lot of people who aren't from San Jose end up like traveling out to go there. And I feel like if you're traveling like that, you gotta have a shower, bro. Like honestly, nah, like just being out and like having to fly or drive in there, I feel like, you know, I'm gonna feel like dirty. I'm gonna feel tired. I'm gonna feel dirty. Like, I feel like you have so much incentive to shower. There's no way in my head that you go to something like that and you don't take like 10 minutes to have a shower. But then again, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Some people, they never shower, right? For me, I guess I like almost can understand both sides of the coin. Because I used to low-key be a stinker. I won't lie. I used to have pretty bad hygiene. I would probably shower like, I don't know, maybe once a week. I was bad, bro. Back in the day. Look, depression can do a lot of things to you. Becoming stinky is definitely one of them. But like, you know, that being said, I think that at least as a fully fledged adult, all right, as somebody who has entered modern society, it's like, you know, I will shower more depending on what my plans are. Like, if I'm chilling at home, not doing anything, I might go like 3 or 4 days without a shower if I'm not even going out and I just don't think to do it. Because, like, you know, I'm not out there like getting sweaty. I'm not like going to see other people who I gotta accommodate. But if I got plans with somebody, like, yeah, I'm gonna shower. Like, I don't want to show up being stinky, bro. It's just like I feel that way when I'm going to see one person. God forbid going to an entire convention full of people. All your friends are gonna be there to trying to meet you, and you're not gonna like stop to bathe yourself first, pick up some deodorant. Like, dude, it's a convention in the summertime in like California, I'm pretty sure. There's no way that you don't just want deodorant just to have it. Like, you're gonna sweat. Dude, I still remember when the one time they did Anime North in the summer, and it was terrible, dude. It was so bad because it was like 30 something Celsius outside. It's humid, which I'm sure California's got to be humid because they're right by the coast. Like, you know, it's humid, it's hot, you're surrounded by a ton of people, so the buildings are like super warm. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been to a convention to experience this, but if you go to a convention for the full weekend, right? You go to the Artist Alley, especially. Artist Alley is always the busiest, right? You go there on Saturday, the building is warm from all the people. Like, and then you go back on Sunday and you can like physically feel the temperature difference in the building just because of how many less people attend on Sunday. Like, on God, you can really tell the difference. It's crazy. But, you know, it's just like, oh God, I can't imagine going out to something like that and not wearing deodorant. That would actually throw me off. Like, or like antiperspirant or something. Like, you gotta have something, man. You gotta have something. Because otherwise, you're just gonna be like dying, bro. It's just not the right weather for it. But yeah, I mean, I do kind of wish that I ended up making the trip out, because it could have been a couple other things. Like, I haven't spoken to him in a long time, but I had a Pokemon friend who lives in I think he lived in NorCal, so it wouldn't be like right there, I don't think, unless I'm misremembering. Because I think San Jose is south side, maybe. I'm bad at U.S. geography, bro. Don't ask me. But you know, maybe I could have like gone up for like a week. You know, went to offkai and then like hung out with some of my old Pokemon friends. Because I remember he's one of the only friends I have from the US who I met in real life. You know, there was one time where there was a Pokemon tournament up here. Well, I mean, I say one time. They do a Pokemon tournament up here like every year. But he came up for the tournament, right? He came up for the tournament and we ended up hanging out. It was really fun. You know, we went to this like little burger restaurant that he scouted out downtown, and it was pretty good, honestly. It was good food. It was kind of tight. They didn't have any tables inside, so we were just one of like 3 or 4 groups of people that were just like sitting on a curb outside eating a burger. You know, just a bunch of people chilling on the street. You know, it honestly felt more like I was in the neighborhood than actually like living at home in the neighborhood. Because it was just, you know, there was like a couple people just like hanging out that we were chatting with out there. And we went for some bubble tea afterwards. It was a good night, honestly. It was fun. It was really cool. So it would have been cool to make the trek back, maybe see them, catch up after a long time, and obviously offkai would have been sick because I swear like everybody who I'm friends with went to offkai, bro. Like on God, everybody. Like I kid you not. I have friends who are local to me in the VTuber community who I asked, like, yo, are you going to go to Anime North this year? And they're like, nah, but I'll be at offkai, though. I'm like, dog, Anime North is like 30 minutes away. And you're not going to go, but you're going to go to offkai? Like, across the country, man? Across the continent, bro? And the answer is yes. Because all of their friends are going to offkai. You know, like, but I mean, that wouldn't have been like the big like difference changer for me, because you know, I could hang out with those people when they come back anyway if I wanted to. But it would have been cool. Like Shiny is there, Calico is there, Rita might be there. I'm not sure. I know she did a panel there. They had a panel there, which was cool. Like Keiko went. There are a lot of people that went. I don't have that many VTuber friends, but I swear, like, all of them went, bro. Mie went, like, Ada went. They all went, bro. Everybody went to offkai. So it could have been interesting, you know. I thought about it. You know, there was, like, an intrusive thought in the back of my head. Thursday night, seeing everybody posting, I was like, what if I wonder what the plane ticket would be to go and get there by Saturday. Like, what if I took a plane, like, tomorrow morning? And then I was like, wait, I don't even have my passport, bro. What am I saying? I don't think I would have done it even if I had my passport. But it was like the devil on my shoulder real quick, telling me to go watch VTubers IRL. But yeah. Maybe next year, honestly. Assuming my friends go out there again next year, honestly, I very well might consider making the trip. Because, I mean, it would be really cool. I do, like, genuinely believe that meeting up with online friends is one of the, like, most fun experiences that you can ever have. Because I've done it, I've done it a fair few times at this point in my life. And it's always really sick. It's always super surreal too. It's like, I don't know. You start to like, even if you've seen your online friends' faces, you know, sometimes you'll like mentally associate them with like their profile picture, their handle, you know, just like hanging out in the voice call or messaging each other or whatever, right? So like seeing somebody in person like that, it could be like low-key disorienting, but in a good way. And one of the other crazy things it can be is seeing your like online friends have a meetup like that you're not necessarily a part of, and they send you a picture, and it's like, what the heck? This image feels illegal. What do you mean that you guys are hanging out? I had that like a few weeks ago with one of my friends from the UK who came out and visited me. And one of my other friends, who is also from the UK, that has never like went to visit anyone. And it was interesting to see them hanging out together. I was like, no way, dude. It was Cheen, bro. It was seeing Cheen like posted pictures with my friends. I'm like, dude, we didn't even like know what Cheen looked like for so many years. Because he just never bought a webcam. He just never had a webcam. So, you know, we've been friends for like 10 years. I probably didn't even see what he looked like until maybe like a year or two ago, it feels like. So it was seeing that, the two of them hanging out in real life. I was like, what the heck, bro? He's real? The image I pictured you doesn't match you IRL. Change it. That's true. That's true. It really does feel like that sometimes, but it's honestly a really fun experience. I love meeting up with online friends. I think that it's super cool. So I'll be missing out this year, but maybe not next year. Maybe not next year. I'll just live vicariously through other people posting about it. Man, it would have been interesting to see as well. I would have loved to see what the artist alley would look like at offkai. Cause like, man, you gotta know that there's like probably so much good merch that you can find there compared to like even your average anime con if you're a VTuber fan. Like all the art is gonna be VTubers. They're gonna have way more niche people. Like I remember I went to Anime North looking to get some stuff, right? I found it was even worse this year than last year. I remember there was like maybe 3 or 4 people in the entire artist alley, it felt like, that were selling HoloLive stuff. And I was looking for Holo Stars as well, and I literally found 0. I did not find a single person with Holo Stars merch of any kind. And I was like, damn, bro, what about the boys? Come on, man. Or, you know, like, I mean, I don't really follow Niji anymore, but like a year or 2 ago, you could like find all of the stuff with Niji. I distinctly remember a couple years ago, there was like one artist booth that I liked where they had art prints of all the Luxium boys from Niji Sanji and some of the Holo Stars boys as well, like back when it was just the first Tempest wave. I remember seeing that, like chatting with this artist about that, and it was really cool. And I went this year and I was like, damn, bro, no love for the boys. Ah. So I didn't actually buy much at all. I think I spent like $20. No, I spent, I think $15. I went into the con ready to like, I had like about $100 where I was like, okay, I'm probably not going to spend it all. I'll probably spend like 50 on merch. I thought I'd probably spend like 50. I actually spent 15. So barely even dented my wallet, man. I should have taken that as my hunch to be like, go get your passport, go to offkai. Same difference. It's true. 15 and 50 sound like the exact same if you say it wrong. I was gonna say if you say it right, but no, that's not true. If you say it incorrectly, they sound the exact same. But man, you know, I also considered there's an anime con going on in Toronto this weekend too, but I did not go. I had a friend, one of my anime con friends, like one of the people that I go to for, that I go with to conventions for sometimes. That's like such a weird sentence grammatically. Sorry. One of the people that I hang out with at cons sometimes. Okay, they were like, oh, I'm going to this con on Thursday. You know, I'm going to Fan Expo. Do you want to? Are you gonna be there? And I was like, no. I didn't say it like that. I was like, probably not. But truthfully, I went to Fan Expo one time, and it was not it, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie. The panels at Fan Expo were not, maybe it's gotten better since then, I don't know. But when I last went, the panels weren't that good. There wasn't really like community events to be a part of. You know, realistically, it was a glorified shopping mall for anime merch. And it was more like generic anime merch too, like almost like a Comic-Con type experience, I would say. More so than like a dedicated like anime convention. So, you know, I looked and it was like $40 for a day pass. I was like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good. I don't even, if I spent $15 at Anime North, I'm probably going to spend about 0. Maybe I'll spend 15 cents at Fan Expo. So I'm not paying $40 to even get in. But yeah. Nah, I mean, I'll probably hang out with them later this summer. They mentioned some other event to me that looked cool, but for the time being, no more conning for me. No more being a con man. I'm gonna be an honest citizen. Unfortunately. Although I might take this as a sign to go out and get my passport now. Just so that, like, if anything comes up, you know, in the future like this, and I did want to, like, I would just have the option, I guess. Because in some ways, I'm kind of scared to travel to the US right now anyway. You know, I'm not trying to get into it, really, but, you know, it's definitely, like, interesting times to be traveling right now. You know, there's certain things that are a little up in the air, depending, so I felt better about like not worrying about it. But that being said, like, you know, not every event happens in the US, and even then, like, I'm sure nothing would go wrong. We've got cooties. It's true. It's true. I was gonna go, but I was like, I haven't had my cooties vaccine. I haven't had my vaccine for cooties in too long. Not since middle school. I gotta get my booster before I can travel to the US. But nah, I mean, you know, I think it's weird. I really did think about like, you know, since I got paid, maybe I should have gone. Even though I knew the exact amount of money that I was going to be getting before I got it anyway, right? It's just one of those things where you see the money like hit your bank account and it's like, oh, like it's there. Like that number's so big. Cause for me, it was quite a bit, honestly. My old employer, they were really, really bad at calculating how much of my salary was supposed to go to the government for taxes. It happened every year that I worked there. Because I probably worked about 2 years at this old company when I was in retail. But realistically, it was like I worked there for like a little bit of 1 year, all of another year, and then a little bit of like one more year. So it was like only a couple months of salary for 2 of my tax returns. But there was like one where it was like my full like year of income, right? And I swear they did it so badly. Because I remember I earned like maybe like 11 or 12,000. I think it was like somewhere around 12,000, right? It was pretty close to minimum wage at the time, in 1 year. And my tax return that they owed me was like $3,000, bro. Like literally 25% of what I earned in a minimum wage position. Which is like, that feels like a huge like margin of error to do that. Like, I don't know, maybe it's more complicated than I think it is, because I don't really know very much about like calculating taxes in terms of, you know, from an employer's POV. That's a lot, man. Like that's a pretty large return, I feel like, especially for that amount of money. But anyway, you know, I've been hounding the government to get me this money for like 2 years, probably more than, I think it might have been close to 3 years. I'm trying to get all of this money from them because I had a problem forever. I like didn't realize for probably at least a year. I was trying to get my money and I was like, I wonder why I haven't been paid yet. And what it was, I didn't even realize I had the tax returns for some of that time. What it was is that if you don't have like direct deposit set up for your bank, to where they'll just like put it straight into your bank account for you. If you don't have that set up, then what happens is they just mail it to you in the form of a check and then you go and cash the check, right? Which makes perfect sense. But we had problems with like the mailing where I live. So my letters just kept not going to me. So I had like over a year of like various tax return money that just was not ever like delivered to me. And the most frustrating thing is it took me like probably 10 different times calling the like tax agency here in Canada over the course of like a year, probably more than a year of calling them over and over and like asking them like, you know, hey, like this is my situation, what can I do about this, right? It took like 10 agents of people being like, oh, I don't know what you can do about this, or like, oh, you know, you can fill out this form, but we have to mail it to you. You know, is there anywhere I can pick it up? No, we have to mail it to you, which didn't work because none of my mail was coming. It's like, obviously that was not the solution, bro. And after like 10 different agents, one time, you know, and keep in mind, every time I do this, it's like 30 minutes to 2 hours of sitting on hold on the phone. Like, it's a crazy long wait, okay? So every time I would do this, and finally, after like over a year of annoying them, after like 10 agents, I called and this guy was like, okay, so on the website, go here and then just print this form and fill it out and then you can just upload it back on the website. I'm like, are you kidding me? All of this time, there was just a form I could just download and then upload there too. Like, I don't even have to go to a government building or anything. And he's like, yeah. So I did that. And then, you know, the forms took forever to actually get processed in a lot of ways. I had to keep calling them like, you know, hey, you know, I haven't received my money for this yet. And they're like, okay, well, it's actually going to take like 2 weeks to be processed at least. And then it's like, oh, actually the processing window is up to 4 weeks. Oh, like, you know, they just kept like moving the goalpost for how long it was supposed to take. But finally, they paid me my money. And I'm so glad that I don't have to keep calling this stupid tax agency anymore. I don't have to sit on the phone anymore. You know what was super annoying about it too? Is that for some reason, you know, like most places, they'll have hold music, right? Like when you're on the phone and you put it on hold, it'll like play some relaxing like elevator music or whatever, right? For some reason, the tax agency here, their hold music was like terribly like mastered. Like the audio engineering for it was garbage. So what it was is that the softest part of the song was like 4 times as loud, or like 4 times as quiet as the loudest part. So you either had to put the volume like low enough that you don't blow your ears out listening to it, but then when it goes quiet, you have to like check like, oh wait, did somebody actually pick up the phone? Like, did the music stop? And then it's like, no, it's just at the quiet part of the song again. Or you had to turn it up loud enough that you could hear the quiet part of the song, and it would just be completely distorting out of my phone speakers when it would get to the other part. It's like classical music is supposed to be chill. It's supposed to be soothing. But it's just like it's just like distorting out of the phone speaker. It was like the music equivalent of when you hear somebody talking through like a webcam mic and the audio is just like super like, I don't even know how to describe it, like crispy. That was like exactly what it was like, but for the like piano music or whatever. It was honestly pretty funny, but it got annoying after like 10 times of calling them. But you know, my, you know, annoying the CRA arc is over. I felt like the opposite of most people. Most people, you know, you got the IRS like hounding them for their money or whatever. It's like, nope, I got it in reverse. I'm hounding the tax agency to pay me my money. I finally got it. I don't know that I'm going to do anything in particular to celebrate with it, but I got some projects I'm working on, I guess, that I had to start, you know, making payments for. So that's something. Feels a little bit less daunting when I've actually got like more in my savings. Always nice. But yeah, that was part of what I was up to earlier this week, was just dealing with them. I was really surprised, you know, like I called them probably on Tuesday or like Monday, right? And I asked them, and that was what I was saying, where they were moving the goalpost of how long it would take for my tax forms to get processed. So initially I heard like it'll be done by June 2nd or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. And I waited until like June like 12th or 13th or something like that. Like 2 weeks passed pretty much. And I was like, let me call him up because, you know, it's not here still. And then the new guy was like, oh, actually, no, the processing is up to 20 weeks. So you still got to wait until like late August until we're going to have your money for you, or like, you know, until we're going to get around to your forms. And I'm like, damn, late August, bro. That's way different from what the other guy told me. But then like 2 days later, I just opened my bank and it was just, the money was there. And I was like, oh, they're actually like early on something? Like according to my new standards? That's crazy. Because they're always late, I feel like. I don't know when the last time I've seen them have something early is, but if ever, it's been a long time. Being an adult is too stressful. Why do I gotta deal with all this taxes shenanigans? Why can't I just evade them, bro? Come on. Nah, I mean, I'm sure next year is going to be more complicated. Because next year I'm going to have been not employed probably for like the whole year. Which means that I'm going to have to like file my taxes. I think it would still more or less be like pretty simple though. Because I don't know if what we have going on here really qualifies as a business. I don't know that I earn enough money from a tax standpoint for it to matter. I think the answer is no. But I would want to look into it before I filed them though. Because I think it's a little different from the US too. Like I've heard some people kind of talk about like, you know, oh, if you're a content creator, like you can write off like everything as a tax expense. You know, as long as it's in the video, as long as it's in the live stream, that's a tax-free expense right there. And in my case, I think it's true in Canada. Like I think you can, but at the same time, having a tax-free expense only matters if you earn enough money that they're taking tax money from you anyway, right? Like if you're already in the lowest tax bracket, there's nothing to deduct from. Like you're just paying the minimum anyway. So I've never really like bothered. Because I'm too broke. I'm too broke to benefit from this like financial life hack that's being suggested. Because, like, imagine how cool that would be if you could just write, like, anything off. Like, I could just make a song cover and, like, make an MV, get the illustrations, and just be like, all right, and then that is tax covered because I am a business. That would be sick. But I can't. Well, I can, but there's nothing to write off because I don't earn enough money. I would have to earn a lot of money, too, right, to get out of the bottom tax bracket. For, like, a independent, like, singular person, that's... You gotta be doing pretty good, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know how we ended up in such a long like ramble about taxes. This is the most boring adult topic ever. But no, I'm sure you guys were dying to hear about Canadian tax laws and my struggles with the CRA. But yeah. I was dealing with that a little bit over the week. I've been like, it's kind of embarrassing, but I don't care. You guys ever have like a game that you grew up with that you know is bad, but like you get back into it every once in a while anyway? I had that for a mobile game, which is weird for me because I like never play mobile games. But I've been playing this game again called Dragon Veil. It's literally one of those like low-key pay-to-win idling games where you just, you know, you've probably seen the mobile ads for it if you do anything on a phone app, or like maybe not for Dragon Veil specifically, but for like one of them, you know, where it's like you just breed dragons and you build like a park full of dragons or whatever, right? But I used to play it with my friend growing up all the time, and I was kind of bored, and I was like, you know what? I want something on my phone. So I went and I tried TCG Pocket for like 5 minutes because I like Pokemon and all of my friends I know got into TCG Pocket. And maybe if I waited a bit longer, it would have been cool. But at that moment, I was like, this is not doing it for me right now. And so instead, I went and I found Dragon Veil, and I was like, I wonder if you have like a reset button in here. And there was! They did have one. So I got back into playing for like the past couple days. Every once in a while, I'll just pop open my phone and check on it. I have no idea how long my little stint will last, but this is just nostalgic for me. It's like one of the few games that I used to play on my old iPod, on my iPod 4 back in the day, that's still on the App Store in some capacity. And no, it's like, it's fine to free to play as well. Like, there's a lot of like time save that you can do if you pay money, but I'm not gonna do that. I low-key considered it because they had like, you know, they try to get you while you're impulsive, right? At the start of the game, I opened it, and for like the first 2 days, you can microtransaction for like 80% off. And it's like, damn, 80%. It's only like a few dollars. And then I'm like, what am I saying, bro? Am I really about to spend money on Dragon Veil? on my phone? Like, no. I don't care if it's a few dollars, bro. I don't know that I would care if it's a few cents. That is not a good financial decision. But yeah, I've been dabbling with that. I don't know what I'll get into after this phase is over. I've seen so many people on Cookie Run that I almost wonder, like, what am I missing? Like, what is the sauce with Cookie Run? Cause like, I've seen some of you guys playing it. I've seen vtubers playing it. I think it was literally like maybe #1 on the App Store. Like, it was close. It had a lot of people who were playing it on the App Store. I was like, wow. You know, Cookie Run, apparently there's some sort of sauce, bro. They got something in the dough. Cookie Run, yes. Yes, I thought about it. I haven't downloaded it yet. It changes you? How so? Sell me. Indoctrinate me. I would like to hear, as a cookie enjoyer, in the real life. In the real life. What's up with these digital cookies? Are they running? Well, obviously. Makes cookies look attractive. I can believe that, right? It's just like nice art. It's like a gacha in some ways, right? Like they have a bunch of different cookies that you could collect or whatever. Big lore. Big lore? Cookie Run has big lore? Deadass? Is there like a story mode? Is it like a low-key, like a visual novel with extras, kind of like Honkai or something like that? Like, what do you mean big lore? This is like the last thing that I expected you to say when I was like, tell me about Cookie Run. Yes? What? That's crazy. That's crazy. I cannot believe that. That's insane. Cookie Run is a story game? I would have never guessed this. Wow. They run. They run. True. And gambling, of course. True. I mean, at the end of the day, like, what popular mobile game doesn't have gambling? Like, if I'm being so for real, I can't think of one. I can't think of a single one that doesn't have some sort of gambling option to it. Or if not gambling, like maybe if none of them are really gambling, it's still microtransactions. But usually it's microtransactions because there's like free-to-play gambling, but they want you to actually like pay to gamble. Which, I mean, PC gaming has been moving in that direction for a while too in some ways, but you definitely see it on mobile more. You know, I would love to like stream Cookie Run or something, but I don't know that I have any means of doing that because, like, first of all, I have no idea how I would capture my phone screen. But even aside from that, if I did, I would have to be a PNG because I use my phone for VTube Studio. So it just like wouldn't be overlayable. But it would be interesting. It's like, I'm trying to think. It was Narissa, dude. Narissa from HoloLive I've seen do a bunch of stuff with Cookie Run. I was gonna say, like, I know there's like at least one popular VTuber who is like big on Cookie Run that I've seen. Gets into dark topics like saving your friends and looking after yourself and keeping yourself in check, like crazy emotional whiplash. Damn, they got character development arcs in Cookie Run. Interesting. That is really interesting to me. I would have never, ever, ever in a million years expected that Cookie Run was that kind of game. I was not familiar with their game, dude. I have to lie. They die? They're killing people in Cookie Run? Oh, nah. Oh, no. That's messed up. What? Wait, how does that work for a gacha, though? Can you, like, pull for a cookie and then, like, they just discontinue it? They kill them later? Well, I mean, if they did that, you would still have it in your collection, I'm sure, or whatever, but... PvP? I think I did know about PvP, actually, because they have, like... I don't think they're called clans, but it looked like they had, like, a clan system that I saw. when I saw some of the tweets on the tweeter. You still use the cookie if they're canonically crumbled, dead. I see. Crumbled. Okay. So they keep it PG. Wait, I just learned everybody jumps when you honk your horn. Yo, I was low-key worried when I booted this up today. I was like, are people gonna still be playing worldwides on the old Mario Kart? Like, I was pretty sure that the answer would be yes, but like, I was considering it, like, you know, surely not everybody is balling enough that they got the Switch 2 and the Mario Kart already. But they did sell a lot, man. Like, what was it? I think 3.5 million units in 4 days? Now, obviously, it's been more than 4 days now. I don't know how much it's gone up since then. Like, isn't that kind of crazy? With one game? With one game, they did that. I feel like that is, like, unheard of. But at the same time, it kind of makes sense. Because, like, I've still been considering picking up a Switch 2 just for, like, the hardware upgrade. Like, just to play my Switch games in that clean, crisp 60 FPS. Oh, that would be so nice. That would be so sweet. But it costs too much money. I don't even care that I just got paid $3,000, bro. $700 is still steep. Like, I'm gonna wait. It hurts, but I'm gonna be mature. I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna wait and see if I can get a better deal on the Switch 2 eventually. But I definitely feel like, you know, Switch 2, I have no regrets about waiting, even now that I've got my money. I'm content in that choice. But offkai, I still kind of wish that I decided to go to offkai in the end. But I would have had to decide, like, way in advance, though, to be honest. Because, like, like I said, I would have had to get my passport still. And, like, I don't even know how long it takes to get a passport. I know you can, like, pay them to expedite it, but that's not my style, bro. That's not my style. I don't want to have to pay extra for them to process it faster. Oh, my God. How did I not fall? Give me a mushroom. Oh! I got a mushroom. No way. Second? No, you are evil! Okay, I still got third, though. That's all good. What's up, TND? Good evening. Hope you're doing good. Game starts out slow. Well, most story games do. Lore gets wild. There's power systems? Oh my God, bro. You're telling me that Cookie Run is like a shonen? They got power systems? That's crazy. They got voice acting? I mean, that's not actually that surprising. Maybe I do need to check out Cookie Run at some point. You know what? Maybe I do. Because I thought, you know, like, it's just one of those things where you keep seeing it, like, appear. And it's like, everybody is talking about, like, mobile gaming specifically. I feel like mobile gaming for a lot of, at least younger people, it's low-key like a guilty pleasure. Like, most of the time, the games aren't good enough that you're, like, talking about it. You know what I mean? Most of the time. Yeah, most of the time, it's just kind of like something that you do to kill the time. It's the same way that, you know, like, if you just happen to use, like, TikTok or YouTube Shorts or something to, like, kill time when you're on your phone. You know what I mean? It's not like there's a lot of a positive culture around most stuff like that, I feel like. But Cookie Run's definitely got a dedicated community, bro. I always see them around on my timeline for stuff. Hollyberry server? Is that, like, what server would that, like, is it, like, geographically associated with something? Like, this, presumably NA? Or is it, like, or is it more so, like, just arbitrary? Like, there's some other reasoning for different servers? What? Oh my God. Just names of server. Oh, okay, I see. Oh, that's weird that they would separate it then. Interesting. Anyway, okay, noted. Hollyberry server. But yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to, like, maybe try having, you know, You got games on your phone? Like, what if my answer could be yes? But I feel like most of the time that I looked, I never found anything that really, like, spoke to me, you know what I mean? Which is why I never got into mobile gaming too much. After it was on phones and not, like, on your iPod back in the day or whatever. Because back then, that was, like, you know, state-of-the-art technology. Now it's just normal. I don't know why when I mentioned like just having stuff on your phone to kill time, like TikTok or like YouTube Shorts or whatever, it reminded me when Echo was here. It reminded me when Echo was here, and he would wake up and start scrolling, and I would be like, "Bro, get up, get out of bed, don't scroll, no more swiping." Do not have an addiction, I say lying, as I have every single cookie. No, but it's fun to have like that one game where you just like collect everything. I mean, that's me with Ballotro right now, honestly. I haven't been playing as like aggressively as I was, but I'm up to gold sticker on 100 out of 150 now. I'm moving to that 100%. I started doing the challenge runs as well, and I'm halfway through those. Because I'm gonna 100% the game. It's been a while since I've gone to 100% a game, but Ballotro, I'm getting through there. I've been gaming too much off stream recently. Because I don't know why as well. I've been like watching a lot of Pokemon videos again recently. And I stumbled upon my old recordings of when I was doing off-stream runs of Pokemon Run and Bun. Which is like that one really, really impossible ROM hack that I showed off on a couple of my streams. You know, the ones where I was like, I'm playing the hardest Pokemon game ever. It's that one, right? For some godforsaken reason, I've been playing that a little bit again. I'm probably going to go back to it after stream today, actually. But first, I'll take a shower. Because I went to the grocery store and it's hot out. So I need a shower. Unlike all of these stinkers at offkai, I gotta do something for the VTuber community. Somebody's gotta have good hygiene. Bro, I still cannot believe there are people saying that it's this like stinky at offkai. I wish I could be there to have an opinion, bro. If nothing else, it would be really funny just to know. I definitely feel like it would be interesting just to see for myself. Like I said, my nose is bad. Maybe I'll ask some of my friends. But how do I bring that up though? I'm just gonna text my friends out of nowhere like, hey, I hope you're enjoying offkai. Does it smell? Do it stank. Nah, I would never do that, bro. That would be so awkward. I imagine being on the receiving end of that message, bro. I would die. Maybe I'll send the thing with the VTuber deodorant though, because that was really funny. It kind of reminds me, there's like a short that I remember seeing from, I think it was like Jay Schlatt or something, where it was like one of those things where he has like some random viewer submit a presentation, and he was like, I've got a genius marketing idea, and it was literally like shampoo and body wash with like anime girls on the bottles, right? And he was like, oh my god, you're a genius, right? And I thought that was funny, but like this dude is out here making that his actual business. He was selling deodorant sticks with mint phantom on the front, bro. Which is, it's so creative, honestly. I love to see that. I would laugh my ass off if I was at a convention and I went to the artist alley and somebody was fucking selling deodorant. VTuber deodorant, man. Oh my god. Like I would consider buying it just because that's so funny. It was like pretty cheap too, right? Now, mind you, I'm trying to think if deodorant is one of those things where, like, you have to get travel size ones. I don't think it would be, though, because it's not liquid, right? Surely you can take deodorant on a plane with you because it's not liquid, I would think. Because with most of that stuff, like if you got shampoo or like body wash or whatever, I mean, first of all, if you were doing that, you probably wouldn't really care about like bringing the whatever type of soap it was home. It would just be the bottle that you would care about, right? You could just empty it. But with deodorant, like, I would assume that's one of the hygienics that you could just like put in your suitcase and like you won't have to do anything special for it. But I don't really know. Like the one time that I've traveled as an adult, I was just staying with my cousin anyway. So I didn't really have to pack any like hygienics for the most part. I kind of just used whatever he had. I brought my toothbrush, and from that point it was like, you know, I'll be at your shower anyway. So like whatever soap is there, whatever shampoo is there, like we'll make it work. Which is definitely easier to do as a guy when you have shorter hair than when you have longer hair, because it's a little more sensitive. But like I was only there for like a week, bro. It's not gonna do anything if I don't have like a nice shampoo to use for a week. I'll be fine. I say I'll be like it's in the future tense. I was fine. Nothing bad happened. I didn't die, believe it or not. Bring an entire tote bag just of hygienics? I mean, I could see that, right? If you have like a dedicated skincare routine, I could totally see that. Or like if your hair care is like more dedicated, because my hair care is like, I mean, it's about as bare bones as you can really go for somebody with longer hair. Like basically, you know, my hair used to be like really damaged, and it's still kind of damaged sometimes. It depends how on top of it I am, but like, you know, after like a few months of having like sort of rekindled with my biological mom, she was like, I'm friends with a hairstylist, and I showed her a picture of you, and she said you need to use this shampoo and conditioner. And I was like, okay. And so she bought it for me, and I tried it, and I was like, oh damn, yo, your stylist friend is right. This shit is fire. Like it made such a big difference for me. Because I think what it was, right, is I was already using like keratin enriched like shampoo and conditioner, but it was like, dude, like generic. It wasn't even that generic of a brand. I think it was like L'Oreal or something, right? It was really watered down. Like there was not a lot in it. I switched to the brand I buy now. It's called like Twi. It's like a French, and it's so good for my hair, man. It works so well. So I just do that, and then if I'm going out and I don't want it like, if I want it more contained, I'll do like hair serum, and that's like pretty much it. I don't do hair masks or anything, but I think skincare is probably like there's more reason to have like a like more complicated routine than hair for the most part. Do that for weekend trips, but also see, okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. If you're bringing makeup as well, then like, yeah, that makes total sense. I have like a tote full of makeup like at home. I didn't bring it with me because, to be honest with you, I've had my makeup for like a year and a half, and I've probably used it like barely ever. I've worn it like a few times, you know. I could probably, I don't know about on one hand, but I could definitely count on two hands. Especially even then, like even when I do use makeup, I'll barely do any. Like 99% of the time, if I do any makeup, it's like I'll do, well, okay, moisturizer is not really makeup, but moisturizer, of course. And then I will just do like concealer, especially for my eye bags, because sometimes they can be pretty bad. And then I'll just do, sometimes I do eyeshadow. Not often, but sometimes I do eyeshadow, I guess. I mean, I guess that's mostly it, honestly. Because usually I'm too lazy to bother with like foundation or anything like that. Maybe, let me look at my makeup bag. It's been a while since I looked in here. Let me get acquainted with the stuff that I own. Oh, sunscreen, obviously. Again, that's not really makeup, but yes. Like, I have, like, eyeliner. I have, you know, What is this one? That's my concealer. What is this? What is that? Is that like blush? Why the hell do I own blush, bro? Anyway, I have makeup, but I don't use it much. And then like my skincare routine. Okay, honestly, I haven't even really been using skincare products for the most part in a while. Like, even though I have a skin condition, when I keep on top of my hygiene well enough, I like almost don't even need my prescriptions. But when I do have like anything with my skincare, it usually is just my prescription like creams, because I got psoriasis. But you know, it is what it is. We move. It makes it easy. I don't have to understand anything about skincare routines. I can just pick up the thing that my dermatologist told me to use, and it works. But you know, in a lot of ways, I think it's easier for me as a guy to just be like, yeah, I don't care. Like, I definitely don't feel like socially pressured to look my best whenever I'm going out. Like, you know, if I'm meeting up with friends, or if I'm going out to an event or something, obviously I want to look nice because it feels nice to look nice. But also, if I'm rolling up to the grocery store, man, I'm not shaving. I'm wearing like 2 like vibrant colored pieces of clothing that don't match each other. I'm rolling out of the apartment with whatever was comfortable enough that I had it on inside of the apartment. You know, maybe I'll throw on a hat so I don't even gotta bother combing my hair. I'll go outside looking like a goblin. You know what? It's fine. Because I don't have to look good for anybody if I'm not doing anything crazy. It's a freeing mentality to have. But sometimes, you gotta be careful though. Because sometimes, like, if you get in the mentality of, like, I'm not really doing anything, so I don't have to, like, keep up my look. Sometimes, you know, it's easy to go, like, a couple weeks, even in my case, you know, like a month. And I'll just sit there and I'll be like, damn, bro, like my unibrow is getting visible. Like, I need to pluck my shit. Yeah, like aside from like getting scruffy facial hair, like that can happen pretty quickly, you know, it's whatever. I always know that I've been neglecting too long when I can start seeing my unibrow hairs, like, you know, the like darker ones are like actually grown out enough that it's starting to fill the gap. Like, obviously it's nowhere near having a full brow, but it's like, nope, I gotta have a shower. I gotta pluck my eyebrows. I'm so jealous of people who don't have to do this, by the way, because I found out not everybody has like eyebrow hair that grows in between their eyebrows. I was like, what did I do to deserve this, man? And I've heard some people be like, say like, oh, why don't you just shave it? First of all, I would be scared putting a razor anywhere in between, like up by my eyes, bro. Like, honestly, that's just scary, bro. Like, I don't want to put a razor up there. But also, I feel like it would grow back even faster if I used a razor instead. I don't know. I mean, they still come back, like, if I don't know, maybe every 2-3 weeks it starts feeling noticeable to me if I pluck it. But I doubt it would last that long if I was just shaving. Because I don't really know that it's a good frame of reference, but for, like, my regular facial hair, bro, I can shave and I'm good for, like, maybe... If I want to look clean shaven, like 1 day. If I want to look like mostly shaven, like maybe 3 or 4. If I go somewhere, I shave, have my hair look okay, wear a decent shirt, that's it. That's pretty good. That's better than most guys, I feel like. I mean, I guess it depends, right? It just depends on, like, if I expect to be social at all. Like, if I was going out, like, to the mall, or, like, anywhere that I'm gonna be like around people and I feel like I might be socializing, probably not, because I don't tend to like talk to strangers that often. But like if somebody might talk to me or whatever, you know, or just like if I'm going out and I just want to like enjoy a day out, like I don't know, if I'm going out to like a park or like downtown or whatever, like I'm just going out to see somewhere, maybe I'm going out to eat or something. If I'm going out, I want to look good because it just feels better. You know, it's just like you can feel it in the way that you carry yourself, right? But I've had plenty of times where I roll up to like the gas station, the grocery store, whatever. And, you know, I know that I look like shit. I do not care. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just thinking about the fact that I want to buy like some chips or like some snacks or something. Well, it depends where I'm going. If I'm going to the grocery store a lot of the time, what I'm in it for is buying fruit. Like, everything is in season again. God bless summertime, man. I got some like little tomatoes at the store today, like the ones where they come on the vine. Those are good, man. I'm gonna probably eat those later. That's gonna be nice. We got some fruit again, which is nice because the fridge was starting to look terribly empty. I was kind of sad earlier this week. I had a cantaloupe from like the end of last week that I didn't eat right away, and we left it in the back of the fridge and it froze. I didn't even know this could happen, but the back of our fridge was actually cold enough that even though it wasn't in the freezer section, my cantaloupe froze. And so like I tried to eat it, but it was really weird. There was like ice crystals in the middle of it. It did not feel right. I was like, nah, I can't eat it, man. It just felt so wrong. I tried it. Oh. Third? Okay, I'll take third. Use an electric trimmer on my eyebrows when a lash is sticking out and sideways to carefully get it. Electric trimmer is probably cool. That would probably be nice. I have like an electric razor that I actually don't use that much. I got it. It's kind of embarrassing. The reason I ever bought an electric razor was the one time like a couple years ago when I wanted to shave my legs for the first time. I was like, okay, I have way too much hair to just do it with like only like a razor by hand. So you use like an electric razor to trim it all down, and then you use like a real razor to like get it clean shaven. But I don't use it that often, to be honest. I don't think I have. Well, it has different guards, so maybe there's one I could use for brows, but like I don't know. My brows aren't like super bushy to begin with, so I don't usually have to trim my eyebrows themselves. I just have to watch like I don't want the bridge forming. I want to keep my eyebrows segregated. Thank you very much. I don't feel comfortable dressing up when I have to take public transport. Yeah, if I'm ever going out and it's something that I have to take public transport for, I'm not gonna like go all out, but I'm also probably gonna try not to look like a gremlin if I'm going far enough that I have to actually like go on public transit. Cause like also, people talk to you on public transit sometimes. It's not that often, and most of the time it's annoying. But occasionally, I don't know, I'm like holding out hope for like my fucking like romance protagonist moment where somebody is gonna roll up to me on the bus one day and then we're gonna be life partners. I'm gonna meet my soulmate on the way to the bum-ass train station in my neighborhood. It's never gonna happen, I'm sure. I did have it happen to me one time, sort of, actually, in the past. There was exactly once, but I was not into it, okay? Because like here was the situation. I probably said this on stream like before, but I think it's been a while anyway. Here was the situation, okay? It was in the middle of the COVID pandemic, but like just when people were starting to open things up again a little bit. So like basically it was like when school stopped being online and you were supposed to go in person again. But it was still like very much, you know, social distancing, wear a mask, you know, all of that jazz, right? And so here I am, tired in the morning on the bus to school. I have not just headphones in, because everybody's got their like AirPods or whatever on the train nowadays. I have over-ear noise canceling headphones on, all right? Like I can't even fathom how somebody hit on me while I was wearing a pair of HyperX's in public. Like that is just announcing that I don't touch grass to the world. Literally rocking with a fucking gamer headset pretty much on public transit. Not only this, right? But you know, I got my mask on, and it's like kind of etiquette during the pandemic to like, you know, you leave a seat in between you and whoever else is like in your section, right? Because it's social distancing, right? You know, if there's like a 3-seat bench, you will both sit on the edge and leave the middle empty. And like normally you do that anyway just to give people space, but like nowadays or before, if your choice is to stand or sit in the middle, you're not wrong for either choice. But like during COVID, you probably should just stand. Like you probably shouldn't sit in between the people, in my opinion, right? But anyway, this bus was like pretty empty. At least half of the seats were open. I'm sitting at like near the back, and this girl like walked up to me. I'm in like a 2-seat bench. It's me in one chair, and my backpack is sitting in the other chair. Cause like it's empty. Why would I not put my bag on my seat, right? Like why not, right? And she like gestured me to move my backpack so she could sit beside me, which is crazy forward. I can never imagine having so much confidence to walk up to somebody on the bus and ask them to move their bag out of the way so I can sit with them when there's like plenty of seats just open around. That's so crazy to me, I feel like. Not even like, you know, maybe I would like consider it if it was like, I don't know, they were like wearing a shirt for like something that I was into, and like, I don't know, let's say like I was going to an anime convention and I saw somebody wearing a shirt of like an anime I liked, and they're also wearing the pass to like get in, and I'm like, oh, they're like also going here, like maybe I should talk to this person, right? That would be like a consideration. This person just fucking cold approached me, like no hesitation, right? But like it was weird because despite, you would think they were gonna be like really forward based on the approach, right? But what actually happened is they sat beside me and didn't say anything for a few minutes, and what it is like my bangs were kind of blocking me from seeing them because they were like beside me and my bangs were covering my peripherals a little bit. So I like adjusted my hair just to like be able to see what like, you know, beside me. And they like tapped me on the shoulder after I did that. And they were like, are you okay? Like just from me like touching my hair. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I'm just adjusting my hair. They're like, oh, okay. Right? And then I was like, that was weird. And then a couple minutes later, they like tapped me on the shoulder again. And then they actually started trying to talk to me. I was like, oh, okay. Because in the back of my head, I was like, surely that was them trying to like start a conversation or something, right? Because like that's such a random like reason to ask somebody, are you okay? Like in what universe am I going to be like, no, like from after just adjusting my bangs? Maybe I just looked really dead, bro. I wouldn't put it past me, bro. It was rough times for real. Yeah, my eye bags were like craters back then. They still kind of are, but especially back then, dude. I was not sleeping right back in school. But anyway, you know, they tried to talk to me, but I think they were going to a different school. They were also younger than me, which I mean, it was like, I think they might have even been like 2 years younger than me. If not, it was like at least 1, maybe 2, which for some people that's fine. For me, like, I don't know. I wasn't really like looking for anything at the time anyway. I think I was a bit more closed off still as a person. And you know, they were younger, they were going to a different school or whatever. I distinctly remember like right as we got off at the station, I think they were trying to like ask me for my Instagram or my number or something. I think it was my number actually. And I was just like, you know, or I think before they could say it, I was like, you know, I saw that they were going one way and I was like, oh, I gotta go this way, sorry. And I left. And I left. I feel kind of bad, but you know what? I mean, I wasn't really interested anyway, so. But it wasn't a lie either. I did have to go the other way. It was the truth. Oh! Well, fine. Third. I'll take it. What could have been? Probably nothing. Yo, realistically, I don't remember us like talking about anything we had in common. It was more just like one-sided, like asking very, very basic questions, you know, like where are you going to school, like what year are you, whatever. And like, you know, for those of you who don't know, I ended up dropping out, okay? I got my equivalency, but I didn't even finish high school because I didn't like school very much, so. Yeah, it wasn't like I was sitting here like super pumped to be talking about school, I would imagine. I don't remember it very vividly anymore, but I think she just thought I was cute, which honestly, really big compliment to me, because I had self-image issues for so long, man. I thought I was ugly forever. I thought I was so ugly for so long, bro. You have no idea. You guys have no idea. You know, I still remember actually. I think I gained a little bit of confidence after I worked retail for like a year and a bit. I was just like, not necessarily because I was working retail, but you know, like I did that. And I remember like one of the things that happened to me was, you know, as you guys have probably heard me say a few times by now, is like the time that a girl asked about if I had Instagram, and I responded like, oh, you mean the store Instagram? Yeah. And then she left. Right? It was after that time, right? I remember when I told my my regional manager that I was gonna be quitting, and I was putting in my 2 weeks. I wanted to like lighten the mood because, you know, it was a little tense, right? So I like brought up the story, right? And she was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of girls that look at you, and I was like, what? Like, she was talking about customers. She was like, yeah, there's like a lot of girls that really like you. I'm like, what? Where are they? I'm not aware of this. Hello? This was like a once in a lifetime opportunity for me. What do you mean there's lots of them? Like, genuinely caught me really off guard. I still don't know how like truthful that was. But I mean, I don't, there's no reason for her to lie about that. So like maybe. But to be fair, I think what it was is like, you know, we were working with, at the time, like mostly pretty niche, like nerdy, hobbyist merchandise, right? So stuff like anime, games like Genshin or Honkai or whatever. Stuff like that, right? And my entire reason that I was decent as a salesperson is I let people talk. Like, you know, I would mostly go to people who just looked like they were interested in stuff, just like talk, you know, get them talking about it, get them like excited about their interests, you know, let them tell me whatever. If they were enjoying Genshin, you know, like tell me your favorite character. Like, you know, I had some people that would like pull it up on their phone, like show me their team or whatever. You know, like I'd be talking to people about like what anime they like watching or whatever, right? It was a fun job in a lot of ways. And I think that just that like friendliness and like just sort of active listening without like being too self-inserting was probably what it was for a lot of people. You have the looks and charm people are looking for. Well, I don't know if I would go that far, okay? You know, occasionally I get a compliment and I feel really good about myself, and because it's occasional, like, you know, maybe once every like maybe once or twice a year it feels. Okay, maybe am I underselling myself? It's probably like maybe 3. I don't know. I'll give myself like 3 on a good year. Maybe more. I don't know. Because like sometimes people give you compliments where they don't expect anything out of it either. Like I just remember one time I was like walking through like a random train station downtown, and there was just some guy like standing against the wall, and he was like, I like the skirt you're wearing and your Vans shoes. Like, which felt really random, and I was like, oh, thank you. Like, I remember that just felt funny that he decided to point out the fact that they were Vans specifically. But it's true, man. Those Vans were super comfy. I don't have them anymore because my feet grew. I never thought this would happen to me as an adult. I never thought I would have to buy new shoes, but I grew out of my old shoes. You know, I thought it's like once you turn 18, you're done, bro. Like, it's checked out, but, you know, it's not true. It's not true. My feet got larger, and I was like, damn, I don't fit in my shoes anymore. It was bad, bro. I remember, you know, there's like sort of like a plastic like fitting, like a skeleton for the shoe underneath of the like foam and the cloth and everything, right? I literally, like, my feet got big enough that it ripped at the back, and I like cut my foot because the plastic was like sticking out in the back inside part of my shoe. And I was like, damn, yeah, no, I can't even pretend these fit me anymore, man. Like, this is not gonna work. I have to buy new shoes. Because, you know, I'm the type of person where, like, sometimes, like, I don't care if I've outgrown certain clothing. I don't always throw it away unless I'm like out of space for my existing clothes that fit. You know, I still got pairs of shorts from like 10 years ago, like when I was barely even going through puberty, that are definitely like way too small for me. But like I just don't wear them out if I'm like trying to look nice. But, you know, like I said, you know, lounge wear, or like, you know, I'm just making a quick run to the grocery store or whatever. Yeah, don't roll out in some like fucking middle school ass shorts. Like, sure, if they fit, it's good enough. Like, you know, my very loose definition of fit. If it goes on, dude, then you know it goes on. But no, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Also, calling me a pretty princess is funny. But it's probably true, right? There was like a point, I think, that I realized. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not hot. And that's fine. If there's any appeal in my aesthetic, it's being like a pretty boy or something. And you know what? It's more fun that way anyway. I like it. I think that being pretty is epic. Fuck being handsome. Not that it's a bad look. I think that, you know, sometimes you'll see like a guy that looks really good and it's like, I'm not saying this from a place of interest, you know, it's Pride Month, but I'm not a poser out here. But, you know, you can appreciate a fellow man's beauty. Just like you can appreciate anyone's beauty. Not a it would be true. It would be true. You know, it's one of those things where, like, you know what's actually funny? I'm gonna share something kind of personal, okay? So, like, there was a point in my life where I was good, like, really, really good friends. I mean, I'm still really good friends with this person, but I was really, really good friends with somebody who's bi, all right? And I was thinking to myself, you know, like, there was points where we were almost like talking about, like, you know, they were gonna move somewhere like a lot closer to me, and we're talking like, you know, maybe when we're both like financially stable, we could like room together or something. And, you know, I was sitting there because I was like, at that point in my life at least, still way more in the like ace camp than I necessarily feel the need to be now. Like, I still definitely identify as ace, but I'm like open-minded. Yeah. It's like I'm not out here like catching feelings for people, but like I would try though. I think it would be interesting. But at the time I was sitting there, I was like, if I'm like ace anyway, could I like be gay? I was like, would it work if I just like had like a dude as my life partner? Like, what if me and this guy we're just like in a relationship, but like it wasn't like overtly gay? And then I thought about it more and I was like, no, I'm sorry. And for all of the homies that I love, him included, I don't think that I would ever feel like comfortable crossing it over to a relationship. Like, you know, I don't feel much attraction to begin with, but I don't think I've ever had. I think it's literally zero that I've ever had for guys. So it's unfortunate. I would have been too slay if the universe also made me gay. They had to debuff me somehow. I would have been too powerful. But, you know, we support. I still, for what it's worth, I also do still feel like I could have a guy as my life partner, but I think they would also have to be ace, because otherwise, like, how is that gonna work? I feel like there's just certain aspects that obviously I wouldn't be providing, so, you know. You know. Because it's also one of those things where, like, I don't know. I've seen people do like more open like sort of situations when it comes to relationships. I don't think I could ever do that. And that's coming from somebody who's, it's not from a place of like, that should be me and only I should be getting that, you know, because I care so much about, you know, romantic, you know, like exclusivity and like intimacy between us, but it's more just like, I don't know. I feel like there's like a trust aspect there where, you know, stuff gets kind of messy if you don't do that. It's like, why do you feel the need, right? That's where it comes from for me. Like, I've never experienced this, obviously. You know, I got all of this tea. You know, I'm moving tea like, you know, Britain through America back in the day before they dumped it all in the ocean. I have no idea if that's a good reference. It's been way too long since I was in history to learn about that. but you know, I was always the friend who's like the therapist friend who's never lived through any of the experiences you're going through, but they're giving you advice anyway. And you know, they keep asking me, so clearly it's good anyway. But you know, either way, right? I remember it was really sad. One of my friends got cheated on, and I felt so bad for him because low-key, his girlfriend at the time was a trash person. Like, I did not like her to begin with. You know, he was doing all of the work. Like, he was working full-time. He did all the chores. You know, she was barely... I think she might have started working part-time at one point, but she was just unemployed for most of the time. She was hard on him all the time. Like, I felt bad, bro. I was like, why are you even with this person? And then they cheated on him, and I was like, wow. But what was worse is then they asked him to go into an open relationship, and I was like, wow, the audacity of this bitch, bro. You cannot be serious right now. Like, look, okay? I'm familiar with audacity. Everybody that I know who is all of my VTuber friends, we all started out with audacity. And not all of that audacity combined could never live up to the audacity of this bitch, okay? Like, it was crazy. And the worst part is he didn't. I was like, no, you cannot be for real. So I was like, man, I'm not talking to you about your fucking relationship problems anymore, all right? Good luck. You ever have it with a friend sometimes where, you know, like, they'll keep coming to you for something, and then they go against your advice, and it's like, man, well, we got nothing to talk about, bro. Don't ask me again. Don't ask me again, all right? I've had enough of this tea. I'm sick of it. It's okay, though. He left them eventually, and he's doing better now, so good for him. Does your dog trust them, but with Twi? It's true, it's true. But does Twi trust them? I mean, honestly... I think that I have a pretty good radar for people, because I'm like a very like honest, communicative person. I've had a lot of different kinds of friendships over time, and I don't know. I feel like I used to be more closed off as a person, and in the process of like learning to emotionally understand myself, like developing that emotional maturity for me, like my personal self. A lot of it you can extrapolate. Like, a lot of it applies to other people in the same way that it applies inwardly. And so, you know, I try to empathize with people a lot, right? Like, you know, for me, even if I disagree with what somebody has done, I will always try and like think like, okay, why did they do this? Like, where are they coming from? You know, what was their upbringing like? You know, what was their like previous experiences in like similar situations to this? Like, you know, what kind of experiences shaped this person to act this way? Do they have any like conditions that might affect them to act this way? I always try to think about things very holistically, because even if you still don't agree with, or like even if you don't forgive somebody for what they did, which is fine, you don't have to ever, you're not obligated to. Just having that like understanding, it makes it feel less personally targeted. It makes the world feel less unfair. It's like, this happens for a reason, like everything, right? And so you can move on more easily. You can have a more like grounded in reality perspective that way. But you know, that being said, like, it's still your responsibility to like stand up for yourself. So, you know, you can have every reason in the world to be a terrible person. If you do it, you're still a terrible person. And like, as my friends, you know, if you choose to associate with somebody like that, that's on you. Like, that's your own choice at that point. You know what I mean? I can always like try and give my perspective and like tell people what I see in somebody. But at the end of the day, you know, it's still their choice on what they want to do with that. I'm not going to be mad at them for like choosing to still associate with somebody. At the same time, like, you know, I'm not gonna want to talk about it anymore because like mentally I've made my mind up. So yeah, cheating in my opinion is the biggest distrust. I agree with that. I think that if somebody ever cheats on you, that's just an automatic, like, the relationship's over for me. There's no coming back from that, in my opinion. And some people argue like everybody deserves a second chance or whatever. And in most cases, I do agree with that. But the other thing that I think is that you deserve a second chance, but why does it have to do with me though? Because at that point, if they're willing to like sneak around your back and like have a relationship with somebody else while you're, you know, supposedly like just the two of you are seeing each other and each other only, and they felt like it's okay as long as you don't find out, like, what does that say about everything else you have to trust them with, right? Because that can go out into like every aspect of your life where you're not going to be living, you know, like over their shoulder the whole time, right? I don't want to have to sit there and worry about like, you know, if we ever have joint finances, like, is this person using money that I don't know about without telling me for something impulsive? Like, are they, you know, are their friends doing like bad stuff that they just don't want to tell me about? Like, it says a lot about somebody, what they're willing to sort of do as long as they're not getting caught. And I think that, you know, when it comes to stuff like that, cheating is just a sign of, like, if nothing else, cheating is a sign that you're gonna have a messy ass situation going forward, regardless of whether it has to do with them cheating again or not. Like, that's just gonna be a headache, bro. You know, I'm not like a codependent enough person that I care to like sit there and be like, okay, we can work it out, we can do the therapy. It's like, man, you can go get your own therapy, bro. I'll be fine by myself. I've been alone long enough. I mean, maybe it'd be different in the situation. I don't know. I've never been cheated on because I've never even been in a relationship, so I can't necessarily act like I know what I would do. But that's always a difficult one. But you know, stuff happens like that sometimes. I've had situations where, you know, like friends are doing something that I don't approve of, and then I find out later, and it's like, I don't know if we can be friends anymore. Like, and the thing is, like, it's always difficult with stuff like cheating or like when somebody betrays your trust like that, and you've been friends with them or like in a relationship with them for like a long time, like years and years, because at that point you're like invested in that person, you know what I mean? It's easy to brush somebody off if, like, you know them for a few months, even like a year, and then you find out that they're like a bad person, right? But like, I don't want to like name names or anything, but I had a friend who I was friends with for a lot of years, and I found out that he was acting in a very unsavory manner towards women online. He was doing some not very good things involving online relationships, and I was like, man, you can't be doing this. Like, there were like once, I think there was like once, maybe twice with me where I found out about this stuff, and I was like, you know, I sat there and I had an intervention with him because I was like, yo, like, you can't be doing this, bro. Like, this is bad for you. This is bad for them. Like, you're better than this, right? And then at that point, I don't think he got better. And for a while, I was like, all right, you know what? Just don't even talk to me about this stuff. Like, I don't care, bro. Like, I'm not. If he's not gonna listen to me, then I'm not gonna spend my energy on it. And I kind of socially distanced myself. And then I found out later that it got worse, and I was like, okay, well, we're just not friends anymore. Like, I have to go block him now. This happened to me recently, actually. This is the reason I didn't stream on Thursday. Is because I was like gonna catch up with some of my friends for a bit, and then I ended up having like a fucking nuclear bombshell dropped on me about one of our other friends, and I was like, shit, man, I gotta deal with this today. So, you know what? In some ways, it's like, it sucks. It really sucks to lose a friend that I've had for so long. But in other ways, I would rather know and not spend my time and energy on that. And not, you know, because like, how does it reflect on me if I'm like, just because I've been friends with this person for a lot of years, because I didn't know, you know, if I continue to like be their friend, at that point you're an enabler, like, in my opinion. So I told him, like, genuinely, I wish the best for you. I really do hope that you get better, but like, as it stands, I don't feel safe being friends with you. I don't feel safe associating with you, and I blocked him. And you know, that was kind of that, right? Yeah, you know, it's sad to hear, but at the end of the day, you gotta protect your peace. You gotta protect the people that you care about as well. Cause like, if you're friends with somebody like that, in spite of what they do, it's only a matter of time until your worlds collide. Like, you know, I'm a streamer. I got a public space here. I would not want them to be like rolling up, and you know, eventually they start talking to somebody in the community, and you know, they do some shit that I really don't approve of. Like, or you know, I got a lot of friends now that are women, and like, I don't want him to like do anything. I don't think he would. I don't think he would get involved in my spaces, but he got involved in a different one of my friends' spaces, right? Like, there was a girl that one of my friends was friends with, and he started being hella weird to them. And you know, it's like, if he would do it to them, he would probably do it to me. Like, aside from anything else, you know, clearly there's like no impulse control whatsoever. I mean, that's what it boiled down to, right? That's what it really boiled down to, is he had like no impulse control anymore. He could not control himself. You know, he would end up in front of, it's like, it's really sad, you know? It's almost like watching your friend grow up to be like a crack addict or something. Because it's not crack, right? It's not like he was on drugs, as far as I'm aware. I don't think he was on drugs, but still. Like, his brain was just so rotted, man. It was like, it hurts. Because he's not who he used to be. He's not the friend that I used to have. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to do what you got to do. I already wasn't talking to him very much for the past like couple years anyway, so it wasn't that like, it probably wasn't as big of a burden for me as some of the other people in my friend group. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but we move. I hope he gets better. You know, maybe losing some of his longtime friends will be a wake-up call for him to be a better person. You know, I think that like something that you learn after you've sort of been in these kind of positions more than once is like, sometimes when one of your friends is in a really bad state of mind, like they're not acting like themselves anymore, the best thing you can do if you care about them is fucking leave them hanging. If they're in the water right now and they're flailing around, sometimes you just gotta force them to learn how to swim again. Like, it's really mean, but it's genuinely true. Like, I remember I had a friend a lot of years ago who was like really, really mentally ill, and they just, you know, it was bad, bro. Like, I remember, this is personal stuff, man. I remember I had like his mom's phone number because they thought that I was like a safer point of contact for him than his family. So I would like be trying to relay things to them and like make sure everything was going okay, right? Because, you know, sometimes, especially the first time that something like this really happens to you and you don't have your boundaries set that well, you can get like really involved in other people's shit, man. And I really do like to help people. I care about people. The people that I choose to spend my time on, I care about a lot. So, you know, I went through a lot of stuff for this person, but at the end of the day, after like I think it was about a year, you know, I kind of realized like no matter how many like doors I tried to open for them, no matter how patient I was, it's like they weren't really trying to do anything. They weren't trying to help themselves. And at that point I realized, I was like, there's nothing I can do at this point. I've already done everything I can do by being there for them, and they don't want help. They're not even trying to get better. So like, if I continue to like socially be there for them, but not actually like see any change, like I'm giving them the attention that they want, but also, you know, without having them do anything to better their situation, without them having to act the way that I feel like they should be acting, they're just gonna keep doing that, right? And so sometimes, even when your friends are in like a kind of like low-key dangerous position, you have to let them learn. You have to sort of let them figure it out. Because otherwise, how are they going to get better? You have to trust your friends to sort of, you know, they're adults just like you. They're their own person and they can figure it out. You know, a lot of people are a lot stronger than you realize. They just need something to push them over the edge. That's something I learned for myself too, right? How do we get so existential, man? I'm literally just playing Mario Kart. I'm sorry. But yeah. Anyway. Anyway, on like a completely different note, it was still really nice rekindling with those other friends that day. We had a really fun call after that. One of my friends from that group, dude, he's like, he's always so good at like the worst shooter games I've ever seen. Like this dude, I remember he was like religiously playing crunker.io for like a couple years. He might still do it, honestly. I remember he was on that fucking website all the time, just doing like lobbies with random people. And then he hopped in a call and he was just like, he just mentioned some like random ass game. He was like, yo, you guys want to play like this random game I never heard of? And I was like, what is that? And he pulled it up and it was just some like really cheap, like bad Steam game. It was like a shooter that looked, it was kind of like, if you guys have ever seen Quake, I think. But like, it was if Quake was made with like $100. Or like they used to grind a game on Steam called Bean Battles. And it was a battle royale where you play as a bean. Like, he was always just so good at like the stupidest games, bro. It was really funny. Life lessons, yes, yes. Sharing my wisdom. I'm always down to be very philosophical. Under my silly exterior, I hope that I can provide some sort of insight that is helpful sometimes, you know? Had to put some friends on a mental hold in my lifelong friend group, and they get mad at you in the moment, but they forgive you because it's for their safety. Exactly, right? Exactly. If you care about them, sometimes you really do just have to let them figure it out. And most of the time, if they get better, they'll thank you for it. They will thank you for it in the future. Like, I remember I was talking to you guys about that friend who was, like, going through some really bad mental issues, and I ended up, like, sort of leaving them. And a couple years later, they managed to get a hold of me again because I had them blocked. They made like new accounts or whatever, and they managed to get a hold of me. And I was still really closed off, to be honest, at the time. But, you know, they said, like, you know, thank you for what you did. Like, I managed to get my life together. He got a girlfriend. He was back in school. I was like, oh my God, dude, I feel so glad. Because when I was friends with him before, it was so bad, dude. Like, I remember he told me he was in therapy. And he had such bad social anxiety that he wouldn't even talk to his therapist. Like, they would have to ask him yes or no questions, and he would just nod or shake his head because he couldn't, like, even, like, muster, like, the courage to speak words. And it was like, damn, dude, like, what can I do in this situation? Like, I can't do shit. Like, until he, like, gets through this, like, mental block that he has going on, there is nothing I can do, bro. I'm just a regular guy. Like, what am I supposed to do? And it was really hard on me after a while as well, because, you know, I'm trying to help this person. I'm taking on, like, so much of their burden, but I can't do anything. That's the hardest part, honestly, about being, like, a really supportive friend. And this should never discourage you from being supportive and patient with your friends and trying to work through things, right? But sometimes you're taking on their burden emotionally and, like, putting your energy into that. And you can't actually do anything. All you can do is, like, advise them, but they have all the action has to come from them. And everybody knows that, like, most things in life are easier said than done. So a lot of the time they don't actually do anything. A lot of the time they don't actually do anything. And then it's just, like, frustrating for you as a friend. It's like, oh my God, bro, if you just did this one thing, if you could just work through it, like, tell me what's wrong, please. But, like, you know, sometimes you really do just have to leave it, and things will get better. They'll figure it out. Because when you really don't have any other options, that's when you grow, right? You know, at that point in his life, I think what it was is he still had me as enough of a social outlet that he didn't feel, like, required to get out of his comfort zone. He couldn't muster it. But after I stopped talking to him, like, what is he has nobody to talk to, right? In a lot of ways. At least nobody that he was as comfortable talking to as me. And that forced him to, like, actually get over his social anxiety and figure out how to, like, talk to people again. And, you know, like, I'm sure that things were scuffed and it was a hard time for him, but, like, it's important. That's important personal development. You know, I think back to when I had, like, my sort of lowest point and I was talking to, like, basically no one. And that was a huge point of growth for me, like, emotionally and, like, socially and whatnot. I learned so much about myself when it was like the first time I was out of school, not working, and it was a really bad time for me, if I'm being honest. I went through a lot of this in a pretty similar time frame, actually. It was a bit after, I think. Because I had my own mental issues aside from the fact that I was trying to help my friend. And so, like, I think that everything in life just burnt out for me. I had, like, legitimately 2 or 3 months where I didn't feel emotions anymore. I was just complete apathy. It was the worst time of my life. I hope none of you ever experienced that. Because feeling sad or feeling angry is nothing compared to feeling nothing. It's such a disorienting feeling to not feel anything, like, no matter what. It sucks, bro. On God, it sucks. But, like, I think that I've become, like, I just lived so much richer of a life after that experience. Like, it like, forced me to get in tune with my emotions. And to, like, not act so much on autopilot, but more so, like, be intentful about what I'm like influencing my life with and how I'm letting it affect me. And I think that was huge for me. I think that was like development that only could have happened the way that it did. In some ways, I feel blessed that I had a really, really terrible life in my like mid-teens. Because what it meant is that it meant that I became more emotionally mature than like everybody my age, like really fast. You know, life in a lot of ways, I think that it's a good thing to go out and experience stuff. But, you know, the way that you choose to do it sometimes could be a lot more costly than others. You know, if nothing else had happened to me, I probably would have, like most people, you know, I probably would have gone to university for something that I sort of half cared about. You know, knowing me, I probably would have got burnt out. I didn't even manage to fare through high school. There's no way I was gonna finish a university degree, bro. And university here is mad expensive too. Like, I would probably be in like significant debt just for trying it, right? That's the thing that always is like so tricky up here is, you know, it's hard to get like experience trying to feel out like a job that you want to do before you go to school for it. But on God, like, you should try. You should definitely try. Because it's too expensive up here to be changing your mind. It's way too expensive to be changing your mind, man. Try your best to, you know, figure out what you don't like. That's the most important thing about life, is figure out what kind of bullshit do you not want to put up with. Because that's what boundaries come down to. No matter what aspect of life you're setting them for, boundaries are a part of everything. And in every single part of them, what it is, you know, what kind of shit are you willing to put up with? And more so than that, like, you'll know by what kind of shit you're not willing to put up with. Best thing you can ever do for yourself is just try shit out, figure out what definitely doesn't work, and then have an open mind to stuff that could. For real, just changed my mind. Now I'm in for an extra 2 years of undergrad. Well, you know what? Better late than never, right? Better late than never. You could have finished your degree and went into a career and then been like, damn, I don't even like this career. Like, that's something that happens to a lot of people, right? If anything, you know, it's not a bad thing to realize. As long as you feel like you have confidence in the decision you're making, then I think it's a good decision. Just always act on the best knowledge you have at any given time. And don't be afraid to, like, broaden your horizons. And, like, explore other perspectives, I feel like. Because in a lot of ways, there's, like, so much stuff that it feels like is unreasonable to accomplish. Until you just try. Until you just, like, talk to people who are doing it. Just try things out. You know, you have way more freedom than I think a lot of people realize to do, like, what you want in life. There's obviously always going to be stipulations, but most things you can really make it work if you want to. It's just about actually figuring out what sounds good. Not only what sounds good, but what feels good, right? Same career, but higher position. Okay, well, that's good then. See, that's actually good, because it means that, like, at least you're in the right field, right? You're just kind of, like, sort of tailoring your experience more. And I think that's good. If anything, if you're in the same, like, career, but, like, you're just kind of, like, changing how you're engaging with your field, I think that that's actually really good that you have the experience. Because it's one of those things where it's, like, your past experience will give you a perspective, like an asset, that people who went straight there don't have. Like, I think nowadays, one of the biggest assets you can have in life is to, like, come at something with a different perspective than most people are. Having like a more varied background in your perspective is really OP in the modern economy. Because there's like, for things that just require like 1 degree or like, you know, one type of job experience or whatever, there's like a billion people they could choose for, or they could choose from for that nowadays, right? That's why the job market is so competitive now. But like, if you have some sort of like unique perspective from like having done something and then being like, I think it could actually be better for me if I changed my gears a little bit, and you do something like similar but different, you can learn so much from that transition. For me, I think that I used to stream a lot, and then I worked retail for like a year and a bit, and that socially like influenced me a lot. Like, I think that getting out and just like experiencing something where it's like, you know, you're every day to day, you're interacting with people, you know, you're trying to like create like a pleasant space for people and whatnot. But, you know, they obviously pretty different in that case, but it can be very insightful. That, or like, you know, aside from anything else, like even just in terms of like streaming, you know, I used to always stream one specific, like I was like a streamer in a specific community, right? You know, I would always stream Pokemon. I played competitively, and that was like my whole thing, is I would orient everything around how am I going to make this like interesting in the context of competitive Pokemon or whatever. And then I realized, you know, I saw VTubers and I was like, I gotta like get better at content creation, because this is what I want to be doing. Like, actually, this looks fun. And, you know, at the time, I didn't sort of realize how like uneducated I was. Like, I tried to, I won't name anything, but like, you know, back when I was not a VTuber, I was like, I'm gonna apply to whatever agencies, and I'm gonna get in there, and then I can start doing all this VTuber stuff. You know, I can learn to make music, I can do variety games, I can play whatever I want. You know, I can be more of a personality, right? And obviously that did not work. Okay, like of course that didn't work. Nobody's surprised ever. but like doing that, I was like, okay, I actually have to go and like learn. And as a result of that, like now I know like a decent amount about like audio engineering. I learned a lot more about like how to make good thumbnails, how to be a good script writer, coming up with stream ideas that are more interesting because it's not always within the context of like one niche. How to like be better at just chatting, like how to be a better conversationalist. You know, how to like develop my own personality more. Like I had to reframe a lot of things when it went less from like how do I compete in this like micro niche to like how do I like develop my own identity as a creative, right? You know, it feels like a little pretentious to compare that to like an actual career, because it's not a career yet. But like, you know, at the end of the day, I don't think it's so different to like frame it like a job before you get popular, because it's you know, in a lot of ways it's the same as, you know, you're not like doing a job when you're in school, but you know, you're developing the skills that will go on to get you a job one day, hopefully, right? It's the same idea, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's always interesting to do stuff like that. Friends going back for a second bachelor's. Damn, people who get 2 bachelors is a fucking power move, dude. I could never. I thought about 1 and I was like, this is too much for me, bro. Nah. 2 is amazing. That's so cool. I mean, but the thing is, like, if you're one of those people that can, like, have 2 bachelors, your expertise is, like, so irreplaceable if they're even at all, like, intertwinable. If you can do anything in your job that lets you leverage both of them, you're never getting fired. Like, because they can't. Like, who are they gonna find that also has the same 2 bachelors as you? That's like exactly what I think it boils down to. If you want to have like a good career in the modern economy, I think that like the new thing, you know, back in the day it was like you get a degree and now you're good. That sets you apart. Nowadays, it's like, okay, your degree is your baseline, but like everybody's got a degree. Like what combination of skills with your degree like makes you different? I think that that's the new way that everything works now, which is why it's so hard for young people, because you haven't had any time to develop that. But you know, it's the reality of it now. And I think that people just need to not be afraid to adapt to it. I think if anything, if you've like learned a lot about one thing, but you feel like you have a calling to something else, especially if they're like similar in any way, or like you can intertwine them at all, super good to look into it. You can like learn so much and really develop yourself as a person that way. I think it's really cool. You know what's something I think about sometimes? I really do hope that like I can make VTubing or like some form of like content a real like feasible job one day, right? Be financially stable. But I've also thought like low key, I might go into management someday, because project management is really cool. It's honestly pretty fun. Like aside from the fact that it's fun to like work with other people who have like a whole different set of influences and like watch them bring their vision to life, that's always really sick regardless. But like I feel like I've learned a good amount about like how to manage projects just from being a VTuber. Like there's so much coordinating people sometimes. Like I'm not gonna lie, I don't use a lot of Japanese, but I've learned enough Japanese to like do business communications through email and stuff. I'm sure that it's not perfect. I'm sure they can read it and they know I'm for it. I mean, a lot of the time I just outright say it as well, but you know, I definitely am not good enough that I would be able to like work as a translator yet or anything like that. But you know, like just being able to do that, like knowing where to like find and coordinate with artists and like how to properly like describe things and to them versus like to video editors, to like people who do audio work, where to like find people and all this different stuff. It's really fun, honestly. Twi VTuber company. Can you imagine? That would be crazy. But I don't think it would be my own company though, because like how am I gonna afford that? I'm gonna go under in like 1 year. You're gonna feel sad. You would apply, bro. You're gonna be graduating in like 6 months. You don't want this. Oh god. I would let you keep your IP though. If I ever did something like that, something I'll never understand is agencies who go under and they don't want to offer people their IP. Or like even I guess it depends, right? If you had something like HoloLive, it would be definitely kind of different if you were allowed to keep your IP. But like I don't know, stuff like VShojo or a lot of the smaller agencies. I mean, VShojo, I think they let you keep IP because you're not like, well, I mean, you're already keeping your IP going in, so it's different, I guess. But I've seen stuff like, I know when TWI'DOL they ended up merging with Brave, they let people keep IP. So like Rin kept their IP. That's like the one person that I know from TWI'DOL. Like, I'll never understand why when they don't allow you to keep your IP. Like, why not, bro? What are you gonna do with it? What are you really gonna do with that IP? You're not doing anything with that, man. In some ways, it gives them leverage, but you have to have a certain level of leverage. You know what I mean? With like a HoloLive or a Niji Sanji or something, you don't want some of the people to like feel like they could leave the company but still stream under the same name and engage with all of the people from the agency and, you know, organize the same projects without you or whatever, right? So I kind of get it. You know, it's still like a little bit scummy in some ways, but I understand, right? But you know, if you were joining Twi VTuber company, I don't have that leverage over you, bro. You could just go and do it yourself at that point anyway. I got nothing other than I'm just gonna be there like, please, 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 don't leave me. I'll buy you a skeb. I'll skeb some art for you, please. I know everybody knows the way to a VTuber's heart is a skeb commission. I haven't gotten a skeb in a long time though. I don't honestly use skeb that often. I sometimes what I do it for is when I've done like the soft singing ASMR, I'll like use skeb to get an illustration for that, because I feel like it definitely benefits from having like something thematic, but at the same time, I don't like, it doesn't need to be precise enough to where I have to ask artists for revisions, you know? It's not like I have to be there like, okay, can you change this, this, and this, and whatever, right? I can just sort of be like, hey, just can you draw my character like looking cute in like a dark room? Thank you. Yo, I'm out of illustrations for those though, so if you guys want another soft singing ASMR, consider drawing me in 1920 by 1080 format, looking cute in some sort of scenario. I don't know. I feel like the last time I did one, it was kind of heavy because there was like a bunch of graduations going on and I was sad. I would like to do like a more like comforting one in more ways. So maybe I'll get some art done for that. I did just get paid, so like, you know, I could probably afford to skeb something or something, yo. Last time I did English songs, I don't know if you guys like actually, I don't know how many of you guys actually keep up with that. I don't know if it's like a lot of the core audience or if a lot of it is just like random people that don't come to the streams very often. But I'm curious if any of you guys did watch it, you know, do you like have a preference to like the English songs versus Japanese stuff? Or like, I do feel like I tend to prefer to keep the set list like one language for those. I feel like it would be kind of jarring to like switch midway, but I probably do want to do another English set list because I want to do some Keshi songs. I've been listening to a lot of Keshi recently. Like I remember I found the, what's his album name? Requiem, I think. I found the Requiem album and I was like, oh my god, this shit is fire. Because I remember I knew Keshi loosely as an artist because back at my old job, you know, normally we would be forced to play K-pop on the speakers the whole time because we were like Korean Beauty a lot of the time was like part of our stock, so we had to just be playing K-pop 24/7. But you know, there was like 2 artists. That's a lie. There was 3 artists that when the managers weren't around would get played in there, and it was Justin Bieber. Was one of them. There were a lot of Bieber girlies there. SZA, and I do like SZA's music as well. I haven't really like listened to it as much on my own, but SZA's really good. And Keshi was the other one. And I remember I was like sort of looking for like softer music to just vibe to. I wanted some like vibey music. And I went and I looked at Keshi and I was like, oh my god, dude, this is amazing. Especially, I'm really like an album person. I love being able to like download a really good album that just has like a super like nice coherent vibe through it and just like listen to that album like a bunch of times. It's part of the reason that I really like the music scene from like Hololive is there are some really good albums out of Hololive, man. But some of the other artists, like I've been sort of exploring other artists with good albums recently. You know, like Leve, I got into, you guys got me into that. You know, because I heard from the start. There's so ironic how it came around. You know, I was meaning to listen to them for ages. And then I was playing in an Osu tournament at the time. And they had From the Start in the map pool. I remember I played it and I was like, yo, wait, this song is good. Like, I don't listen to music like this normally, but this is nice. And so I listened to the whole album and I was like, oh my god, this album is like amazing. And so I've listened to that a few times. I need to check out I think there's like one other album, like the one that came before Goddess, I think the album, like the most recent one is that I listened to, but I haven't downloaded. I gotta go download that. But yeah, and then I remember I was like sort of thinking of like vibey music again. I remember they used to always play Drunk and Soft Spot by Keshi were like the 2 songs that my one coworker would always play. And so I looked up Soft Spot because I remembered it being good. And that whole album was so nice, man. It was really, really good. I need to find like more like chill vibes music artists, to be honest. Because I mess with that heavy. It was really nice. But yeah. I've been trying to broaden my horizons with music a little bit more, you know. I think I've spent a lot of years sort of just listening to like J-pop, and then especially like I'm such a sucker for VTuber music, man. I don't know what it is. I think that VTuber music for me, it's like it's so awesome for me because from playing rhythm games for so many years, and I really developed my appreciation for music from playing rhythm games. Most of it is either J-pop and like J-rock, like just sort of the Japanese, like, you know, mainstream music type of stuff, or it was like, you know, the people who just sort of like make music for YouTube or for like SoundCloud or whatever, and they're like more rhythm game style producers, or like very online like subgenres of J-pop and J-rock and stuff like that, right? And then the VTuber sphere was like, it's got a bunch of Japanese influence. It's got a lot of the producers from the like the rhythm game scene and stuff like that. And it's like, oh my god, my worlds are colliding. It's so beautiful. And I just, it'll never get old for me. It'll never get old, man. I just pray that I can make it to a point where I can work with some of those people. Because there are some producers where it's like, I've known them for years and years. And I've like liked their music, especially from rhythm games and stuff. And I've seen them work with VTubers recently, and it's like, oh my god, dude, like, that could be me one day. Like, I could, maybe it won't, but I can hold out hope. A boy can dream, okay? I gotta be a little bit delusional, because this is the thing, you never make it with music or with being like a VTuber or any of this stuff. You have to be delusional. You have to be a little delusional to actually do it. It's the only way. Because, you know, like, I remember, I've actually had this conversation with a friend of mine who I don't really talk to very often anymore, but I mean, I talk to them every now and again, right? And they were like, I feel like it would stress me out to do like, to try and do like YouTube or music or anything like that, because it's just like so unlikely that it works out. And I'm like, I mean, in some ways, yes, but like, you have to understand that it's, if you're looking for a reason to think that it won't happen, you're probably going to be able to find one. But if you're looking for a reason to believe that you could, like, you also probably can find that reason. Like, one thing that I always think about, right, is take, for example, like I said, you know, a lot of years ago, I tried to get into an agency, and obviously I failed because I had not done, like, anything even remotely in the scene. It's like going to a job interview and being like, I've never worked a day in my life, but I think I would be perfect for this position. And they're looking for somebody with like a master's degree. Like, you know what I mean? You can only fake it until you make it so hard. Eventually, you cannot fake it like completely. You got to be about it a little bit, right? But you know, like I was saying, like, you know, some of those auditions, they probably have like tens of thousands of people who are trying out. But how many of those people are actually like about that life? How many of them are really like putting their everything into it and trying to get in? Realistically, it's probably still bad odds for you. Like, it's probably, you know, a handful out of like a few hundred are gonna be like seriously competing. But a few hundred, that's doable. You know, that's a lot more doable than like 50,000 people or something, right? You always got to reframe it like that. Everybody's on a different point in their journey. Some people are just testing it out. You know, they don't really know what they're signing up for, but they're just figuring like, why not, right? They're just in there. Some people, they are serious, but at the same time, they're so new that like they're not like seriously competing with you. They're just developing, right? They have to fail so that they can learn what they don't know. Because you don't know what you don't know. You have to like experience to find out. And then, you know, eventually there will be people that you're actually like seriously contending with. And that'll be a, you know, like a legit like challenge. It's not going to be easy by any means, but it's important to remember, like, you know, and just the fact that you recognize that that hierarchy exists, you also recognize that like you have tons of room to grow because you started out as the person at the bottom rung who had no idea about anything. And, you know, you're just sort of flailing around trying to figure out what's going on, acting like you know where you are. That goes for everything, you know, whether you're in school for something, whether you're like trying to pursue like a hobby more seriously, whether you're just like going into the workforce for something, you're hoping to like move up in a different way. It doesn't even have to be like a career thing. Like it could just be anything that you're interested in, right? There's always room to grow. It doesn't matter how unlikely something might seem. You just got to be open-minded and, you know, opportunistic. I think that that's the two best qualities is you gotta be willing and ready to learn. You gotta be excited to learn, and you gotta take anything that seems like it could be a good experience for you. You take it. Don't ask too many questions. That's the other thing I learned is like you will find the coolest lessons and experiences in the places you would never think to look sometimes. Like honestly, sometimes it can be so nice in life to like spend time with people who you don't actually have that much in common with. That's something that really surprised me because I feel like I very much did not hold this opinion a couple years ago. But then I got back in touch with like my mom's side of the family. And to be honest, there are some things I still don't agree with them, you know. In a lot of ways, they're a little bougie for me. And you know, I'm not saying they're rich because they're not rich. But like, yo, they're old enough to have their savings, and they have refined tastes in some aspects, you know. They like to do things and they don't mind to spend a little money to do it. And for me, I'm young, I'm broke. So like, I would never choose to seek out some of the experiences, but at the same time, like, it could be really nice to like try different things sometimes. Like, you know, I used to never ever go to restaurants. And part of it is because I used to have an eating disorder, right? So I just didn't enjoy being at a restaurant because they didn't usually have food that I wanted. And I felt awkward about it. But I did my like eating therapy, right? I did that. And even then, after I finished that, it's not like I was going out to restaurants like pretty much like hardly at all. Because I didn't think to, right? You know, food's more expensive. I don't necessarily have people to be going with all the time. But like, I started to meet up with my mom, and like most of the time we would go somewhere to eat together. And honestly, it was a really nice experience to like enjoy food socially in a way that I felt like I wasn't before. And as a result, like nowadays, sometimes I'll even like go to a sit-down restaurant by myself just to enjoy the ambiance, just to like enjoy some food I wouldn't normally eat in a place that I wouldn't normally eat. Just like experience things a little bit differently, like slow down and appreciate like the stuff that you don't always experience all the time, right? I think stuff like that is great. Or like even just going places I wouldn't normally think to go. Like my mom sometimes she'll like take me to museums and talk to me about like painters from 100 years ago, or like sculptors. Like my mom has a favorite sculptor, bro. Somebody in my somebody my age, if they told me they had a favorite sculptor, I'd be like, wow, that's an interesting flavor of autism you got there. Like, I'm saying it because I mean I have that for different things, okay? But like, you know, a favorite sculptor, that's like super like niche feeling to me. Yeah, I look at a sculpture, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I don't have any deeper thoughts than that, because I don't know. Like, I don't know why I would have a deeper thought about a sculpture. But, like, back in the day, that was art, right? It's like painting and sculptures and stuff like that. They didn't have, like, digital art. I'm pretty into digital art. Like, I don't do it particularly, because I suck. And I haven't particularly tried to learn. But at the same time, like, I have a very refined taste for digital art. You know, I'm very involved and passionate about like art and working with artists in the scene, right? And so I get it, even though it's like I don't necessarily understand a lot of the time when she takes me out for stuff like that. It's kind of like a smile and nod situation where I don't have anything of value to add. So I just kind of sit there and let her talk about it and, you know, half understand what's going on. But like, it's still cool, right? It's still a cool experience. And it's nice to remember that, like, the world is big and vast even outside of what you're doing at any given moment, right? There's still so much more to experience, so much more to know. And like broadening your horizons like that can be such a cool form of personal development, in my opinion. I think it's really fun. Although sometimes I do feel like my mom tries to spend too much money. I'm like, you're stressing me out, Mom. Mom, you're stressing me out. Keep your money to yourself. Taking me out for something, I'm like, it was how much money? Like, hello? Yo, like, I remember, oh my God, dude. I remember she took me out to a museum and I was like, it's cool. And she, you know, the bill was like $80 for the two of us. I was like, 80 for the museum? Like, dude. Surely there was something we could have looked around at that would have been cheaper than that. And like, I didn't make a big deal of it because I don't want to make her feel bad, right? I don't want to make her feel bad for trying to be nice to me and let me experience things. At the end of the day, I did enjoy the museum, right? I did enjoy the museum. It was cool in a lot of ways. But like, oh my God, like you would never catch me over my dead body paying $80 to go to the museum. And she was like, oh, it was worse when I took your sister here on the weekend. I was like, you already went here? Like, we could have gone somewhere else. You didn't have to pay your way in again. And she was like, no, it's okay. I wanted you to experience it. And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. And so we walked around like the whole museum and it was nice. Except there was some kids having like a field trip or something. And they were just absolutely wilding in the museum, bro. Like just running around, yelling, making a scene out of everything. I forgot how crazy kids can be, man. Like, I haven't engaged with kids in a while. Punt him? I don't think I could do that. In front of my mom, bro? In front of my mom? I say that like I would even remotely consider punting them without being in front of my mom. But, you know. The younger generation, man, I tell you, man. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of great kids. Some of the crazies are really crazy, bro. Sitting them in front of the iPad for the first, like, 10 years of their developmental cycle it cannot be good for them, man. It cannot. And this is coming from me, you know. I grew up, I was on the computer since I was, like, 3. I had an iPod, you know, for a decent amount of my growing up. You know, I had my Wii, I had my DS. I had like a tablet at one point. You know, I was on tech like my whole time. But it's something different about how they do it now, man. The internet's not the same as it used to be. It's so much more predatory now. It's like they really realize like how valuable like entertainment and attention is, and they just, oh man, like I feel like it's got to be so bad for your frontal lobe to grow up on like modern internet. I feel bad for these kids, bro. They're gonna have some problems that they gotta sort through. Is this what it feels like to obtain Unk status? Have I done it already? I'm too young for this. I can't already be Unk, man. I can't. But like at the same time, in some aspects, it really does feel like, you know, it really does feel like it's happening. I think the criteria to become Unk has gone down a lot. Maybe it's one of those things kind of like, you know, the way the internet is nowadays, like, you know, stuff goes by so much faster than it used to be, right? Like, culture develops so much more quickly online than it did, like, before. So maybe it's in that regard, like, relatively, it feels like you've experienced more in a shorter amount of time in my generation than, like, in the past. So it's easier to be Unk when you're younger. I guess. maybe. Twunk. Okay, I am subscribing to this just because I think Twunk is funny. Although you spelled it with a K though. He doesn't spell unk with a C. No, all the abbreviations are kind of stupid nowadays, so in some ways though. Seeing people like abbreviate things like this shit and shut your bitch ass up and stuff like that, I'm like, man, if you're gonna be that hateful, can you at least like have the passion to like type it out? What happened to hating with soul, man? What happened to hating for the love of the game? Out here abbreviating your disses, bro. Like, are you kidding me? Come on, no. Hate me with your whole chest. Come out here. Remain a grade A hater. Damn right. Damn right. You better be hating honors roll, bro. Top of the class. If you're gonna do it. If you're gonna do it with your whole chest. That's how I feel. Why I on? Hit him with the why I on him. Bring it back. Or like, okay, you know what's actually the most annoying thing that I always see young people doing now? Is way more annoying than the abbreviations on stuff like that. Is you go on Twitter and you see like a post and then there's like a billion replies where it's like, at Grok, is this true? Like, what? Why even is that meme popular, bro? Like, why? Why? Why'd it have to be an AI, man? It's not even funny. It adds nothing. I think that, like, doing stuff like that, it just irks me. Because, like, subconsciously, like, the more you normalize asking an AI something, even if it's just stupid, even if it's just a joke, right? The more you normalize that, it's just, like, it's gonna make you, like, engage with stuff like that more. And I agree with, I disagree with using stuff like that. I don't know if you guys saw, I tweeted about it because I saw it, but I don't know if I necessarily talked about it on stream yet. But there was a study that came out recently, actually, from MIT, where it was called Your Brain on ChatGPT, which was really funny to me. But it was interesting. It was genuinely interesting. They did a study about how the use of AI affects your ability to write an essay. That was the context they used, because it's becoming a lot more normalized in the education system to use AI for stuff. As impossible as that is for me to believe, having left the system before this was a thing. You know, it's getting more normal, right? So they did a study where they kind of had 3 levels, right? They had people who would write using an LLM like ChatGPT. I think in this case it was ChatGPT 4 or whatever. They had people who would write using Google searches as an option. So they still had to like go through and synthesize information on Google, but they had that. And they, as the final option, they had people who were just going to write off the top of their head. They didn't have any sort of external influence or assistance, right? And they found like, they found that the people who wrote using AI genuinely could not quote like sentences that they had written minutes earlier. Like they couldn't tell you what was in the paper they just wrote. Which is like, dude, like that's so cooked. That is genuinely so cooked. But like, on top of that, they did it in a way where it was like the people who would write with the LLMs first would then also have to write without any assistance after. And the people who just wrote off the top of their head would try out with ChatGPT after as well, right? And what they found is that the people who were able to write without any sort of assistance, who then used ChatGPT, obviously they were able to like synthesize their ideas a little bit better, which makes sense. At the same time, I personally am a believer that just Googling is way better than using AI assistance. I think Googling is way better, but I get it, right? The thing that I would have liked to see is the difference between if you give those people the chance to write with Google and you make them do it with ChatGPT instead of Google as well. But there's that. And also, they made the people who wrote with ChatGPT initially then write without it. and they were struggling to, this is the scary part, they were struggling to write, obviously, but also they were writing like an AI, like they were mimicking some of the language that they were seeing from the ChatGPT writing. And I was like, oh my God, that's so sad, bro. Can you imagine having AI chatbot accent? Can you imagine that? Like, that doesn't feel like a real sentence. I feel like I'm saying like a brain rot meme when I say that, but it's like real. It's real. Like, dude, can you imagine that? I would, oh my God, bro. Imagine your friend asks for advice and you start saying, as an AI, I cannot provide. Bro. But like, for real, you know, like, genuinely, it's so sad. Like, because to me, I always thought that like creative writing was like one of the best parts about school. You know what I mean? You get to express yourself. You get to sort of tailor your learning to what you're writing about. You have a little bit more personal input. You get to, like, I don't know. I was just always a fan of like opportunities to take your learning and like make it expressive and personalized in ways like that. I think that's what can make things stick in a lot of ways. And to see people so like uninvolved and unbothered about what they're learning that they're not even willing to like do anything and they're just using an AI, like, that's so cringe to me, man. I will never understand it. I'll never understand why you would choose to do that. It's so crazy. Like, because it's just slop as well. Like, it's not like the writing is even good. But I don't know, man. The thing that irks me as well, right, that I didn't like about the study in some ways is, in my opinion, like, in some ways, I can see like the argument for the differences between writing while using Google searches versus writing like off the top of your head. But for some like subjects, you're gonna have to get some information, right? Whether you're doing it by, you know, Googling it or going to the library, or, you know, like you've just researched it yourself, like whatever it comes down to, right? I think that Googling is incredibly useful. You know, it lets you like figure out what questions you find important and then, you know, look at a variety of sources to determine an opinion, right? I think it's a great resource if you use it well. But like, people are getting too stupid to Google nowadays. People are too lazy to Google it. That really just has me shook. I'm like, you know, you just look it up and you just look at the pages and you just read it and like, you know, determine if you think that it's a credible source, right? But some people, they won't even do that anymore. They just ask. I cannot imagine like getting your writing done using like ChatGPT specifically, because like the AI just hallucinates about stuff sometimes. Like if you have a subject that's not like really generic or broad, sometimes those AI like bots, they will literally just make shit up. Like they don't know what to say, so they'll just like come up with something random and tell you that. And like there have been cases where it'll like cite a study that doesn't even exist in like the educational sphere. I've seen that and heard about that a lot. Like I cannot imagine signing off like your ability to form an opinion to like a bot that literally just makes up whatever the hell it thinks sounds correct. Like, I don't know, man. It's got to be like a gradual thing. I'm sure it doesn't happen to you over like overnight, but oh man, it was hard to read that. It was hard to read that study because it confirmed my deepest fears that, you know, people my age are really actually using ChatGPT for stuff. But I mean, it happens a lot. Like, you know, I was talking to my friends like a couple days ago, right? I brought this study up to one of my friends and he was like, oh, to be fair, I use ChatGPT. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, but not like entirely. What he said is basically when he's like learning about complicated stuff, what he'll do is he'll like ask ChatGPT to like summarize a topic for him. And then he'll watch the tutorials and he feels like by having the summary first, it gives him a more in-depth understanding. Like he's able to sort of internalize the information better. And I guess I can sympathize with that. You know what I mean? I can understand wanting something like that. I can also understand that, like, even if the summary was wrong, like, if you're going through and researching it anyway, if anything, like, you'll have a better chance of realizing, like, a concept if the AI was wrong, because it's gonna immediately stick out to you. You're gonna get to it and you're gonna be like, wait, that's like not what this said in the summary at all. And then you're gonna understand, right? And most of the time it probably won't do that. Most of the time it'll probably be dumbed down, but it'll give you something usable, I would imagine, right? So, you know, I get it. I get it. I think that, you know, like any tool, there can be use cases, but me personally, I just don't like it at all. I know some people are kind of in this mindset of like, well, AI is the future, so like, let's figure out how to optimize this and like, you know, integrate it into our productivity. And for me, I'm like, I don't think there's any productivity to be had, bro. Anything, like, in some ways, like maybe in the short term, it could give you something, but I feel like most of its ideas are very shallow and like very, very kind of like hollow, soulless a little bit in a way. And on top of that, like, you're atrophying your ability to like sort of synthesize what could be like interesting or important. You're losing your own like personal ability to like formulate opinions on like what kind of stuff would be a good idea. You're making your creative muscles weak, and I think that that's bad. Whether it's a job for you or not, like being creatively bankrupt is just not dope. Also, I hit 2 people with the same boomerang. That was kind of sick. I'm gonna do, I think, one more race. I think I'm gonna do one more race because we actually been up for a decent little while. It's past midnight, dude. It's late. I've probably been too noisy. People trying to sleep. Okay, no. You know what? It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday. If you're trying to go to bed before midnight, you're just not, you're not a real partier, bro. You need to live. You need to like have fun, bro. I'm kidding, of course. But you need to learn how to have fun. You need to learn how to sit down and play Mario Kart while all your friends are across the continent partying. Oh man, I hope everybody's having fun out offkai. I know Shiny was helping out with Rita's agency. You know, I don't know if it's pronounced NOA or Noah, but I'm gonna say Noah because it's funnier to me. Just call him Noah like it's one of the bros. I know he was helping with the Noah booth out there. I would have loved to go out and like just see Shiny like man in the till. That'd be so sick. They had like Rita merch, bro. That would be so cool if I could like buying Rita merch from Shiny. That would be like such a surreal experience. That would actually not feel like a real moment. But yeah, I hope everybody's having fun out there. I have to ask my friends all about it, including asking a question about if people smell. I can't. I'll find a way to sneak it in. I'm too curious, man. I'm gonna send them the deodorant guy's post. I have to know. Cause like I don't know, that's so funny. I feel like they're like even if they don't agree that people were smelling there, that's just too funny. You have to laugh at that. That's such a high quality meme to send, bro. The fucking vtuber deodorant. That shit is so stupid. Oh man. If I ever do a merch drop, do you guys want deodorant? I wonder what scent I would go for. I feel like it was so smart that they chose Mint Phantom because they can make it like a mint smell. I think it said, you know, like stay smelling minty fresh or something. I was like, that's genius, bro. That's like, even from a marketing standpoint, like just making VTuber deodorant is smart. But choosing mints, that's like so intentful. Like that's a visionary move right there. I could only hope. Like, what? How am I supposed to work? I'm supposed to make mine smell like space or something? Like, what am I supposed to do? Oh! Yo, my bullet took me all the way into first on the last race. Yo! Let's go! Boom. End it with a W. GG. I think we gained a decent amount of elo. I was doing pretty decent tonight, yeah. Up like 200-ish, I think. We take those. We take those. Solid. I'm glad to see there's still lots of people playing the old Mario Kart. I wasn't sure, honestly. I was like, are people going to be playing the old Mario Kart? Are they all going to be on the new one now? But, you know, not everybody got the Switch 2 yet. I'm still good. But anyway, thank you guys for hanging. Let me think. I'll do a stream one of tomorrow or Monday. I can't do, you know, I've been doing Tuesday sometimes recently, but I can't do Tuesday because I'm going to go see my mom. So I'll stream at some point in the next 2 days. I'll let you know in the Discord. But anyway, thank you guys for hanging. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye. My boys.